legislators in my great state who are fighting to end slavery as a punishment. You heard it right. I did not make a mistake in that. I said it, end slavery as a punishment. And so I find myself often questioning what century we are in. The fact that in 2023, slavery is in a constitution of any state has me scratching my head and really, really hard. This headline right here, Ohio lawmakers want to abolish slavery as punishment for crimes. Ohio lawmakers have introduced a joint resolution that would remove slavery and involuntary servitude from the state's constitution as a punishment for crimes. The amendment was introduced by Rep. Dontavius Jarrells, a Democrat representing Columbus, and Rep. Plummer, a Republican representing Dayton. The proposed amendment was referred to the Constitutional Resolution Committee on Wednesday. Good stuff. Now, when you talk about bipartisanship, this is a real good example, not the fake faux example. Because just because something bipartisan don't make it good, baby. Let me repeat that one more time. Just because something is bipartisan does not make it good. And so when they try to throw the debt ceiling, looking at you federal level down our throats and say it was bipartisan, therefore it's good, not all the time. But this case right here, this particular case, this is absolutely good. Now, Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution of the state of Ohio currently says there shall be no slavery in this state, nor involuntary servitude unless for the punishment of a crime. Reminds me very much of the little clause in the 13th Amendment, which I know the mayor is gonna go in on. Lawmakers are proposing the language to change to there shall never be, hello somebody, slavery in this state, nor involuntary servitude. I had to throw that hello somebody in there. They should go and put that in there for emphasis. Now, if the proposal is passed, and we hope that it is, if the proposal is passed by the House and the Senate, it would need to be placed on an issue on the general election ballot. It would require a 50% majority vote plus one to pass because the measure was proposed by lawmakers. Let's just go ahead on Ohio and get this on the ballot and make it clear we're not rolling like that anymore. Now, this is not the first time that lawmakers in the Ohio General Assembly has attempted to do away with that language. Former Ohio Representative Alicia Reese from the Cincinnati area and Representative Cecil Thomas from the Cincinnati area as well, both introduced a bill and or a joint resolution in 2016 and in 2020 respectively. But this is in fact the first time that we have bipartisan introduction of a resolution to do away with the language. Mayor, your thoughts?
Listen, let's be clear, sis. I mean, you're being an extreme wonderful diplomat when you say bipartisan doesn't mean it's great. Most of the time it means it's bad, right? If it was for bipartisanship, we would still be enslaved, you and I, right? If it was bipartisanship, we wouldn't have had the Civil Rights Movement Act, anything, right, from the 60s. So usually when something says bipartisan, it is not for the benefit of black people, and it's definitely not to end slavery or to get rid of it in language. So the idea that Ohio is leading the country in this idea, because the 13th Amendment, you talked about that. People forget that the 13th Amendment gave the right for prison slavery, right? It's slavery by another name. If you look at this country's history before we ended slavery, there were no state prisons all over this country. North Carolina had none. But as soon as they rewrote the Constitution after the Confederate state of North Carolina came back into the Union, they added that it was mandated that they have prisons, and they created black codes to enslave the same people who had just been freed, supposedly because of the Emancipation Proclamation. Same people had been freed, had become slaves again by another worm. So I applaud Ohio on this, but the problem is, listen, I'm all about changing constitutions, but we need to rethink what we're talking about, right? These two reps see that we need to change this, and they still can't do it just because they can. You still have to get 50% of people in a state that is 80% white to say, yes, these black folk can not suffer from slavery anymore. If you look at the prison population of who's in prison in Ohio, when I say black people, I am grounded in facts. I'm not talking about sheer numbers, percentages. Black people are over in prison in that state, and using the prison system as slavery is nothing but a continuation of the peculiar institution that made America as rich as it is. I am super excited about it. I'm also disgusted that Ohio in 2023 is the only state talking about it.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and I share your disgust, Mayor. Absolutely. And this conversation, by the way, I mean, Ohio, I'm so happy for us. And I think, Mayor, there may be a few other states. I want to say Colorado is in there too, but there have been a few other states. But hopefully this will encourage other states to just go ahead and comb through your constitution and let's clear all this nonsense out. And then that will build the foundation for dealing with the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution.